I've said it before, but I would say that this was probably the most worthwhile investment. Definitely one of the most worthwhile investments I've made in my life. And at a professional level, I'm really scratching my head to think of another one.
Hey everybody, Javan Bernakevitch here with allpointsdesign.ca, talking about the Regenerative Business Program that myself and Rob Avis of adaptivehabitat.ca as well as vergepermaculture.com put together, helping those who have great ideas and there may be some stumbling blocks to really get into a profitable business when it comes to regenerative living, regenerative design, working with land, what have you. Today, I'm joined by the incredible Josh Wagler, whom I've known for a number of years. He was a student of mine way back when, like 6 years ago. How long ago was it?
So it would have been 6 years now.
6 years. And Josh has one of my favorite edible landscape design companies called Edible Landscape Designs, which is incredible because the way that they position themselves, what they do and how they do it, it's always so clear and it's really easy to understand. And I love what you guys do. You also have a partner, Nick Poeta, who's also in this business. So first and foremost, Josh, thanks so much for being able to talk to me today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Glad to be here and glad to share some of the experience that we got.
Awesome. So first and foremost, what's your business? What do you do? And where are you located?
So our business is Edible Landscapes Design, as you clearly stated there, and we're located in Victoria, BC. And we've been operating our business for the last 5 years. So a year after we completed our permaculture design course, which is where I met my business partner, Nick, as well as Mark. And after we completed that course with you, we started our business. And for the first, couple years, we'd had some slow and steady growth and some fun projects that we worked on, but we were kind of struggling to really break through to the next level. And, we found that, despite the fact we were sort of chugging along, it was, there was definitely some sticking points and some things that were a little bit stressful for us. But, fortunately, we've had some good support from yourself and from other business owners. And in particular, taking this mentorship program really helped us to break through to a different level. And that's where we find ourselves now.
So let's go back a little bit in time. Let's go back to you were struggling. Like, what were you struggling with? What were the frustrations?
I think that probably the biggest would have been relating to sales, and in particular, knowing how to communicate what we do, the value that we have, and what makes us different. And actually really being able to explain that to people who didn't already get it, because for the people who already got it, it wasn't a hard sell. They knew what we were looking for, they knew what they were looking for, they knew what we offered, and it was pretty obvious. But we had a difficult time differentiating ourselves, I guess, and what made us different from a regular landscaper, and why you might want to spend a lot more money on the design process, and why, some details like that. And I guess for myself, the sales process is just not something I was very familiar with. I never had any formal training in it. So yeah, I would say that was the biggest sticking point. And with that came, not only a lack of sales, but also personal anxiety about the process, and, being nervous about the process, procrastinating, getting back to people, and all the chain of reactions that came with that. So yeah, I would say that was kind of where we were, and we've moved through a lot of that now.
Problems were not having a repeatable, consistent sales process that was smooth, that clients enjoyed, that you enjoyed, and also just feeling like you didn't really know how to communicate and differentiate yourselves. And you were saying that the cost of that was sales. Were there any other implications of those problems for your business or for yourself personally?
Well, I mean, yeah, of course, monetarily is a big one, and the implications of losing a big job, losing a $50,000 job has a dramatic impact. And, there was a couple of those, and, and I take full responsibility for that. And at the point where I was at, I just didn't really know I just, I wasn't smooth with the process, and my uncertainty with the sales process translated into a perceived inconsistency or lack of ability with the actual grinding it out and getting it done. And knowing that those were two different things has really helped to, yeah, really helped to, I guess, make future clients just trust us more, because they just understand, oh, okay, you're clear with the sales process, you're probably clear with the other processes. So that's been a huge help.
You've articulated that really well. As soon as we start interacting with a client, they want to know from the get-go that they're well taken care of. And when we're indecisive or we're unsure, they become unsure not only just about the sales process, but about everything we offer.
Yeah, one thing I would add to that as well is that I think that we had a real challenge in the past of charging for what our services were actually worth.
Mm.
So there was a sense that, we were always trying to keep our costs as low as possible, and we still have very fair prices, but we were subsidizing the work that we were doing, and we weren't charging enough. And there was just a lot of tension, I would say, throughout that process, and a sort of a need to try to pitch people. And, through your guidance and Rob's guidance, really helping us recognize, like, no, we don't pitch people. We're not here to try to convince someone into something that isn't a fit, and actually recognizing that the fit is the most important. I mean, that piece alone has had such a dramatic impact. We've turned away quite a few jobs. We've referred many jobs, and that would have been something that we just couldn't have even imagined doing a couple of years ago. But we have actually internalized that the good fit is the most important thing. And, we're not a fit for everyone, and it's a lot better to find out at the beginning than at the end. So yeah, that's been a huge help.
Bravo. Not an easy thing to learn. And
No.
I think you guys exemplify again what can happen when you invest yourself in the process. You guys took a lot of the information in, you wrestled with it a lot. There was a lot of like, I don't know about this, and small forays and small experiments, but we're getting into now some of the takeaways. And so one of them was that good fit was really useful, and really helped you guys to be clear and focused on what you were doing and what you weren't doing. What were some of the other insights or values or benefits from the program?
Working with people who understand our business, working with, you and Rob, was extremely helpful. And finding good mentors is a very challenging thing. Finding people who will, are really willing to invest in you. And and then also sometimes having a challenge of knowing what's an appropriate boundary within that. How many questions can I really ask this mentor of mine? And fortunately, by you guys offering this program and us investing in it, and investing well in it, we weren't afraid of asking questions, because that's why we were there. We've invested the money, and we're going to ask these questions that might be a little bit harder to ask someone if you weren't paying them. And that was huge. I mean, and then how open and supportive you both were, especially given the fact that we have a similar business, and obviously, we're different, and you offer a very different service than we do. But nonetheless, I think that all three of us, myself, Mark, and Nick, were all, I know there's a few times where Mark in particular was sort of cringing at the depth of questions that I was asking, but I knew this is what I want to know, and that's why I'm talking to these people here. And you and Rob were always more than happy to support, and I really know that you really genuinely do care about our success, and you really are here to help support us. And that's a rare thing to find, not just lip service, but at a really deep level. So yeah, once again, I've thanked you before, and thank you again.
Oh, you're most welcome. It's such a pleasure to work with folks that want to do the work. I think that's the biggest thing that is difficult, is that so much of this is accessible. So much of what has been the successes in myself and Rob's business is highly accessible. You just have to be able to ask the questions and try it out for your own business, because not everything is a good fit, as you were talking about. So thank you so much for showing up as much as you guys did. It was remarkable. When you take a look at the program itself, what did you enjoy about the program, either the setup or the logistics or any of the pieces?
I liked how, you started off with introducing principles. I think that's really powerful, introducing a principle, because that can be applied much more broadly than a technique. So having it structured according to principles was very, very powerful. Also very easy to remember and easy to remind ourselves with, and then really sink into that. I appreciated, the how it was sort of broken up from a presentation, as I recall. So the first part, you would give a presentation, and then you would give us some time to think about it, and we could come up with questions, and then we would be very specific about that. So we knew that, okay, on this day, there's a deadline. We're going to have these questions ready, and these are our questions. So we have some time to really think of good questions and then give them to you. And what I really appreciated is that then you had some time to really give some deep thought to it. And when you showed up and answered those questions, it wasn't in the same way as if you just ask a question of someone to their face and they're kind of put on the spot. No, we asked you the question, you have a week to think about it, and when you showed up and answered those questions, you could tell that you had really been thinking very deeply about it and very personally about it. And once again, that's something that is pretty rare, that, a professional, someone who you respect, someone who knows you well, is going to sit for the next week and think about the question that you've asked them. And that's very, very powerful. So the proof was in the pudding, we'll say.
If we were going to take a look at pre-RBM edible landscape design and post-RBM, what would you say are the major differences, or where are you now compared to where you were?
I would say that the biggest difference is being more systems focused, in setting up systems and repeatable systems, that we don't have to reinvent the wheel each time that we're, showing up to a job site, having this idea that we're going to build our company as, where we are replaceable, where the business isn't dependent upon each individual and our attributes, that there's actually a process that anyone could go through if sufficiently trained in, so that, I can go away for a week, or Nick can go away for a week, and someone else can just step in, and it's very clear as to what role they will have to play. So I'd say, the systems focus. And then, I mean, for myself personally, I've been handling most of the sales for the last year or so. And I would say that the sales process is just unrecognizable from what it was before. In the past, we would just sort of get on the phone and talk to people and just sort of feel it out, and, sort of, yeah, just basically feel it out. Whereas now we have a very clear system. I can just be booked for a sales call the next morning and not have a sense of anxiety, because I know that there's a system. So, I've got a sales call in half an hour here. That's okay. I just got to pull up my computer. I just have to go through the steps. I've done this 100 times before, and I'm legitimately indifferent to it. I'm not trying to sell this person. I really am just trying to investigate as to whether or not we're a fit. And that shift in mindset has just brought immeasurable peace into my life. Not feeling like I need to sell people. No, this is a good fit call. And that really, yeah, that's been a huge game changer.
So you mentioned that differentiation was a problem, finances were a problem, and sales and the process was a problem. It sounds like that's where you are with sales. Where are you now with your finances, and where are you with your differentiation?
I just did a sales call the other day, and at first we were a little bit, I would say we were a little bit scared to differentiate ourselves, because through the process of differentiating, that means that there's going to be certain people who we just won't work with. And we're saying no to some people. And that was kind of a scary thing when we were in a spot where, we felt like we had to say yes to jobs because we didn't have a sufficient inflow of money. But ironically, in this times that we have been more indifferent to the process, we've just had and been much more focused on differentiating ourselves on our website and in our conversations and talks with people. We're just having more and more people come to us, and in particular, I've heard this quite a few times lately, where people will find our website and they say, you're the only person that we've called. We've done a bunch of research of people in your area, and you're the only people we want to work with. And that's just based on, on our website and how we've differentiated ourselves, which is quite surprising to me in a lot of ways, because there's very, very qualified people here in our community and at a professional level. But, not everyone's a fit for everyone. So I would say that's a big one. We're just having more qualified leads coming in, more people who are legitimate. They know who we are before we get on the phone. And that's a big deal, so we're not having to communicate who we are after we're on the phone. So I'd say that's a big one. Through that, we've had many, many more jobs and leads coming our way. I think that, is for a bunch of different reasons, but I would say that, you know, we are now able to charge what our services are worth, and we are profitable. We're having profit margins on our jobs that we weren't seeing before, and that allows us to be further more indifferent to jobs that are coming up. So it really just feels like a completely different world that we're in at this point in time. And I know that may seem like a bit of a hyperbole, but it really is.
Remember you were saying during the course two stories that come up. One was we got onto the call and you were saying, I was in bed, I got a call at 8 a.m. and I had no stress whatsoever. I just picked up the call and I talked to these folks and it was great. It was awesome. And it was over and I went back to bed. I was totally fine. And that was
Mm-hmm.
remarkable to have that level of solace and confidence. And then the other one was you had a call down from the tropics or the Caribbean. And again, I remember you saying that you felt like you had the ability now to field that call and to say, yeah, absolutely, we could manage that. We would have to bring in a few individuals to cover some knowledge gaps or some experiential gaps, but we could absolutely do that. And for me, that's one of the most stunning successes I heard from you guys that week or in a couple of weeks, because every time I talked to you guys, there was always something else that had improved.
Taking on jobs that were, I would say, much further outside of our comfort zone. We started traveling for our work a little bit more, and people are seeking us out, as you mentioned, from abroad, and that's that's a really powerful experience to be a part of, and a great honor, and also very profitable. And that one call that you happened to mention about the being called at 8 a.m. there. Not only did I feel comfortable with accepting that call and making the sale, but that was also a sale that was made. I believe our design costs were about 3 times more than any previous design, and that was because we just weren't subsidizing all the research, all the back, all the everything that leads up, the entire process, the entire diagnosis process that leads us up to that published design. It's not a piece of paper. It's not just a report. There's a lot that goes into this. And this is why we charge this amount. We're charging this amount because we would rather that people invest on the front end during the diagnosis and design process than having to use that money to try to fix something later on down the line, because that will cost, way more. And being willing to walk away from that, and just the recognition that, hey, there are people in this world who are willing to invest this, people who value their landscape, people who are really willing to put that investment into their lives and have the financial resources to do that. It's just a very powerful thing to be a part of.
That diagnosis process is where the front end loading of a design process comes into bear, because unless you diagnose, how can you prescribe? How can you say
Mm-hmm.
what should go well? And the other point you made is beautiful and brilliant. Of it's not just a design report, it's not just a conceptual design or a landscape design. It's all the effort, the work, the meeting of all the different elements that come into a piece of property, the people, the context, the regional zoning, all the plants that are potentially eligible for installation, the soil strata, how much time the people can invest in the energy. All of that is diagnosis to really understand what the great confluence is of all of those elements. When you look into the future, what are you excited about now?
What I'm most excited about is working with the type of people who we like to work with, and doing the type of work that we love to do, and saying no to the jobs that we don't want to do. We said no to quite a few what would seem on the surface to be very profitable jobs, but what we've recognized is that when we try to chase the money for the money's sake, there's almost always problems that arise that are unforeseen, and those seemingly profitable opportunities that are not completely in line with our vision and goals, they don't end up being profitable in the end. So it feels really good to be able to say no to those, and to really work with our people, and and just working with the right people. I just cannot overstate how beautiful that is, and also what a nightmare it is to work with the wrong people. So having that filtering mechanism and knowing that it's a home tool, and that, yeah, I mean, what else can be said for being with people who we love to be with?
Amen. Amen.
Being able to structure my professional life, being able to structure our professional lives and work with people who I would just love to be with at a non-professional level. I mean, that's just an awesome thing. So that's definitely what I'm looking most forward to.
Beautiful, beautiful, mate. So you've taken the program, you've taken the Regenerative Business Mentorship Program Level 1, the 12-week program. You've seen a bunch of people, you had a number of individuals and other entrepreneurs that you connected with. After all that, and now, coming up a good year afterwards, what is your sense of who's a really good fit for this program? Who are the folks that would be perfect to jump in and really get the value that you feel that you've received out of the program?
People who want to do good work in this world, people who want to do something positive, have a positive environmental, social, cultural impact, people who want to really do something good for this world and their community, but maybe who are resistant to the traditional business models, and maybe have illusions about what business is, and are maybe struggling just with the notion of the fact that business and regenerative right livelihood can coexist. People who are looking for both of those things. I want to have a positive impact in the world, but I also want to do I also want to be profitable. I mean, those two concepts are started their business, they want to make an impact, but they really want to take it to the next level. And they want to do it in a way that is regenerative for themselves and their community. I think that those are the people who are looking for it and who would really receive a lot of value from this.
Thanks so much. Anything else you want to say about the program?
You and Rob care. You really legitimately care. And it's very evident that you pour yourselves into this, and that you really, really have found, I trust your authenticity in this. This is not a money grab for you. There's many ways that you could be making money. The sense that I get from both you and Rob is that you've recognized that one of the best ways you can have a positive impact on this world is by helping others to have a positive impact on this world. So rather than just focusing on, your personal niches or professional niches, you're helping many people. You're helping many different people have an impact, and that's very powerful. So that, and as well as the mastermind, is something that I haven't really followed up with many of the people in the course as much as I would like to, but the value of being in this learning journey with other people and learning from other people's questions, the accelerated growth is huge, because it's not just me and you having a conversation. There's 10 people, we're all together, or whatever the number is, and it's just accelerated learning from all different angles. So yeah, it is. I've said it before, but I would say that this was probably the most worthwhile investment. Definitely one of the most worthwhile investments I've made in my life, for sure. And at a professional level, I'm really scratching my head to think of another one.
Wow. Thanks so much, Josh. I really appreciate your time and your conversation about all of this. It's been incredible to hear, but also to see the growth that you and your company has had, as well as your business partners. If folks wanted to find out more about your business, where would they look?
Yeah, you can find us online at www.edible.design. There's no .com on that, just www.edible.design. And you can find our website, you can find our contact information. If you want to reach out to us, send us an email or give us a call. We're more than happy to help.
And folks, definitely take Josh up on his offer. If you're looking for edible landscaping, if you're looking to add not only beauty but functionality, water retention, small structures that make sense within your context, exceptionally good earthworks, all of those pieces, I think you guys have done exceptionally. Like, I just keep saying you guys are exceptional because what I've seen come out of your work has blown me away. You guys have done such an exceptional job, and the individuals that I've spoken to that have been your clients, say likewise. I saw something online that a local nursery had somebody come and pick up some plants from them from the mainland, and they were gushing about you guys and the work, and it came back through the nursery itself. So, there's feedback loops and then there's feedback loops. So, bravo to you folks. And if folks are looking for this type of intricate, balanced, but also very effective type of design work, I couldn't recommend you guys more.
Well, thank you very much, Javan. That means a lot coming from you, and we've certainly had great teachers. So hats off to you and Rob, and I wish all the best for all the future students.
If anybody else is interested in the Regenerative Business Mentorship Program Level 1 that's coming up in October of 2018, feel free to check out the link below. Drop us a line. We're happy to chat with you and see if you're a good fit. We love to hear from everybody, and if you're interested, please do reach out. Thanks so much for watching.